What's happening, Andy? Here I am joined today by Dave Morman of Novatech. How are you, Dave?
Hey, good. How you doing today, Andy?
I'm awesome. It is great to see you. I wanted to touch base, check in with one of the big southeastern companies in our world, and let's just take a step back. Maybe tell us a little bit about Novatech for maybe a couple people who don't know, and tell us what you do for them there.
Yeah, so Novatech is about a roughly 30-year-old, really business technology company. So, originally they were called Nova Copy, changed the name to Novatech roughly 6 years ago. Acquired my managed service provider MSP out of Atlanta, Georgia. As Dan Cooper would say, we put the tech in Novatech. But now we're a company that provides all sorts of products, software, services, and solutions to customers in the South and the Southeast.
Very cool. Well, you're part of that strategy, right? Where they're building up. Novatech is a traditional copier company. Let's just call them that. They were a copier company. The idea is like most copier companies, a lot of them, you're trying to move this into the future, and that's why they came to you, right? So let's talk about the kind of company that Novatech acquired when they picked you up, and then they put you into a very let's just say good leadership spot. You're president, right? So they liked what you were doing there. A big investment, they put their both feet, fully in with you and the acquisition, and then the strategy to grow that managed services program. Let's fill us in. Talk about the company that you were, why Novatech, in your opinion, bought you, and then what's the plan going forward with their managed services? How's it evolving?
Yeah, so I founded our managed IT company before it was called even, managed services about 32 years ago. So I'm a network engineer by trade. So we moved to Atlanta, me and my wife, many years ago, and the Olympics were coming. We grew up in South Florida. We thought, hey, we want to start a company. Let's go to Atlanta with the Olympics coming. It was close, to South Florida, so we could still drive and see family. And we built that company, me and my partner Chaz Arnold, and actually scaled it up, pretty deep, about 3 times the national average for a managed service provider. We had about 60 employees, did everything from managed IT services, cybersecurity, cloud solutions, unified communications as a service, pretty much all that kind of good stuff. So I was approached by Novatech roughly 5.5 years ago. And me and my partner weren't looking to sell the company at the time. We had a very mature business. It was doing really well for us. But what we liked about the Novatech situation is they said, hey, we want you to be part of this thing. We want you to be, president of the company and help lead Novatech into the future and help transform the business over time, to provide more business technology, products and services and solution to our customers. But being president, having P&L responsibility, me and my partner reinvested into Novatech, so we're some of the larger shareholders here. Just was kind of a win-win-win for us at the time. So it was like, hey, this could, I always say God's will, right? Couldn't be more perfect, and he put the ball in the tee for us, and we hit it. So yeah,
So
we're
well, with that, let's back up and where was Novatech's managed services program at that time? It's obviously way further along now. Where were they? Did all locations have it? Was it part of a cohesive plan? How were they handling it?
Yeah, no, they actually were just really selling it in Nashville, Tennessee, where we're headquartered. They had about 25 customers, and we're not doing, we're floundering at it, for lack of a better word. And I see this a lot with dealers, right? The best advice I'd ever give a dealer, one, is get into the business if you're not close to retirement, right? If you're close to retirement, I wouldn't mess with it. It's definitely a tough business, right?
No, that's when you sell to Novatech, right?
That's right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But the way to go about it is to buy an MSP, right? Trying to hire an IT manager or somebody that's done IT before for a company and having them build a managed service provider practice, you just don't have enough time, right? It just takes a long time. A lot of cuts and bruises, a lot of scars. I consider it sometimes, early on was like fighting Mike Tyson, right? You're going to walk away injured. But
Young
once
Mike
you,
Tyson.
what's that?
Young Mike Tyson.
Young Mike Tyson. Although I don't know, he's looking pretty good.
It does look good.
Yeah, he's been training up for this new bout coming up. But yeah, so we were able to take those 25 customers, take over the managed IT business at Novatech, and then expand it into all our other markets. So we have a pretty decent customer base, obviously in Atlanta, where we sold our MSP. We do in Chattanooga, Knoxville, Nashville, Dallas, Columbia, South Carolina, with our acquisition of Carolina Business Systems and John Ekstrom.
Yep.
Definitely, so we're selling it across all Novatech, without brick and mortar. So we're doing it remotely. We do have feet on the street. One of the things we did behind, Ted Becker's leadership. Ted's our VP of Service and Logistics. We trained up about 40 of our copier techs to be smart hands and feet on the IT side of the business. So installing UPS systems, servers, switches, firewalls, wireless access systems, all that kind of good stuff. We bring into Atlanta 3 days of immersion training, and they're kind of our smart hands and feet in markets where we don't have IT teams. In our bigger markets, we have IT staff, but some of our smaller ones we don't. So it's been going pretty well. We've tripled the business in 5 years organically.
Wow.
Yeah,
Very cool. Well, so how does that go? Like, so you come in, it's kind of ragtag. You said, you mentioned there's 25 customers, I think is what you said at the time, or, how do you,
25.
yeah, how do you scale that up across a company that's got, a ton of locations? They're in several different states. They're all over the Southeast. What's the process like? How do you get your arms around that?
Yeah, so today we have a little bit over 400 managed IT customers, or what we call our managed office customers, out of 14,000 print customers. So we've grown it pretty good, and we're looking to even grow it faster over time. But one of the things we did is every copier sales representative at Novatech, we call them business technology advisors, actually goes through a 14-week program that we call our managed office certification program, where we teach them managed IT services, cloud computing, cybersecurity, data backups, business continuity, disaster recovery. And it's a 14-week program, and every single rep that was with us, at least as of, say, February 1st, has gone through that program. We also changed how they, their commission plan. So
I
if
was
we
going to
sell
ask.
a $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 a month managed services contract, they actually get a full month of that. So if it's $5,000, they get a $5,000 commission on top of that. So that's been helping really drive a lot more opportunities with having more eyes on the street and talking to customers about other services, software, and solutions we could provide them.
So how's that working with those reps? I mean, I know one of the challenges is trying to, teach an old dog new tricks. You've got, especially when you've got older reps, right? They like to sell what they like to sell. And, they're obviously very comfortable, especially the older ones, selling hardware, selling office equipment. That's what they've been doing for 20, 30 years. How do you get them to, I mean, is it the cash? Is that, I mean, how do you get them to buy in and actually start participating and closing deals in that area?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, we have, a couple different types of reps, right? Like every dealer probably does. We have
Yeah.
the older, more mature reps that have been selling print technology their whole life.
Yeah.
We kind of, it's optional if they want to sell managed IT or not, or bring us into deals and let us sell it. So we don't, if they're hitting their numbers and they're comfortable, we're not putting any pressure on any rep at Novatech. I mean, it's totally optional. They don't have to do anything. But we're encouraging some of the younger sales professionals coming into the organization that, they got a longer time horizon, right? If they're not retiring in the next 3 to 5 years, they pretty much probably need to learn this stuff. Because the one thing we've seen, and it's resonated really well with our customer base, especially in the, 10 employee to 250 employee type customers, which is where we really go after from a, managed office perspective. Of course, we have enterprise print customers, very large organizations, but in those smaller SMBs, lower mid market, it resonates really well. And the customers love having one provider, one contract, one tech support number, one account manager, one service team, so it's resonated really well. But so we're just encouraging the younger reps, or if somebody's going to be in the business the next 10, 15, 20 years, why not sell all the business technology a customer needs, right? So if you think of it today, a lot of dealers still say, hey, we're just print. But the customer's buying, if you think about it, technology products, hardware, software, services, and then solutions. So what does it matter? If the customer has a need for a network, great. An MFD device, great. DocuWare, enterprise content management system, great. Print security, great. Cybersecurity, they probably need that, right? With all the cybersecurity attacks. That have been doubling over the last, 5 years and will continue to double. for the next 10 years for all sorts of different reasons. But you know, it's gone pretty well. And you know, like I said, we've scaled our managed office or managed IT revenue 3x organically. That doesn't even include a couple of acquisitions we've done, like Carolina Business Equipment, that had a very mature, very well run managed IT
Oh,
practice
I've
that
been there.
we're.
They've got a whole separate building for it. It was a great visit. It was a good company for you to buy. I think it fitted nicely.
Yeah, no, that's a great team, and you know, I have a lot of respect for John Ekstrom. You know, he had the courage to get into it and do it because he was a visionary, and he built a nice company there. And that actually, you know, they report up into me now, which has been great, and John. And you know, they're a great organization, and you know, we're glad to be, you know, to have them as part of the Novatech family.
Oh, I'm sure you are. You must be very excited to have them. It's interesting when you're looking at your staff and trying, you know, your salespeople and you're trying to get them to. I would imagine that there's got to be a date where from the point that you came in forward, anyone hired after that date is, unless they're a traditional copier rep, they see you as a technology company. They don't see you probably as a copier company the way the old guys do they?
No, I mean, we're selling the managed office, so you
Yeah.
know, as
So
Dan
copiers are
Cooper.
just another thing they sell, just like networks, just like phones, just like everything else.
Yeah, exactly. So as Dan Cooper would say, you know, it's all the technology in the four walls of the business, right? When you walk in the front door and walk out the back door, it's the network, it's the MFD devices, it's the printers, it's MPS services, it's cybersecurity, cloud, infrastructure. So we sell all sorts of IT infrastructure and phone systems, and it's you know, everything a business needs. So it's a good business to be in, and it's growing like crazy. You know, when you look at managed IT services, cloud computing, cybersecurity, document solutions, unified communications as a service, they all have double-digit compound annual growth rates for like the next 8 to 10 years, right? So pretty good place to be in the market today.
So you've mentioned cybersecurity several times. Now I want to shift gears and kind of talk about that because that is one that I see the opportunity and then I see the risk. And I don't know how you sleep at night. I don't know how you and people like you can take this on and sleep at night. What is it about that how do you do it? How do you get out of bed and say, I'm going to go do this without being terrified that I'm going to get, you know, my customer's going to get locked out. They're going to get ransomware. And chances are it won't be your fault, right? But it will be your fault in the customer's eyes. So how do you deal with that?
Sure. You know, one of the ways we deal with that is when customers sign up for our managed IT services or the managed office, we actually give them a lot of security technologies that are baked into the solution. So they're going to get, you know, managed detection and response, and they're going to, you know, get, you know, next generation type firewalls with DPI SSL, you know, different technologies, right? So we're going to give them about 7 or 8 security technologies, and they're going to get that if they like it or not, right? So we're going to try to at least give them the basics to really keep them secure. And then on top of that, we have more advanced cybersecurity type products and solutions that we, you know, talk to the customer, find out what their risk, you know, tolerance is, what industry are they in, you know, what their vulnerabilities, you know, look like, and then try to advise them on, you know, really, you know, battening down, you know, the hatches and really, you know, securing the business. But it's definitely, you know, once you know it, it's just blocking and tackling, right? And there's different, you know, types of threats, right? Users tend to be very vulnerable in a company. Probably the weakest chain or
Well,
weakest link.
that's my question right there is, you know, I mean, you're buttoned up, you've got the best technology, arguably. You know, they're all patched up, you know, everything is up to date. And then, you know, Fran from HR clicks the link in a very, you know, very impressive email that looked the way she thought it should look. I mean, how do you that? And that's where people get got, right? That's how you get nailed. And I would say, you know, any of your customers, if you had any that had breaches, I mean, is that where it's coming from? Is it just me that thinks it? Isn't that just seems like the biggest weak link for everybody?
It, it is. It's the biggest problem in our customers, you know, environment. So, but we do, you know, as part of that solution, you know,
Training.
customers get, yep, user awareness training. So, you know, we actually try to fish our customers' employees
Yeah.
as part of our service. And if they click on the link, then we make them watch, you know, 5-minute videos. You know, no, 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 don't click on that link.
Yes. You have
So
to. You have to. The stuff
yeah,
is so believable now, right?
No, it's crazy.
And it's going to get
I'm
worse. Is it? It will. The AI. Tell me what do you, how is the AI going to impact that?
So where artificial intelligence, and I just actually wrote an ebook about a month ago. You can download it if anybody wants to on Novatech's website. But
We'll put a
what's
link to
crazy
that. We'll put a link to that in here.
Okay, yeah, great. What's crazy about AI is now you have machines that are not only going out looking for the vulnerabilities in our customers, environments, then the machines will actually launch the attacks and then change what those attacks look like based on if they're having any success or not. So the attacks now are becoming very dynamic, almost like in Jurassic Park, the Velociraptors are testing all the weaknesses in the fence line. That's where computers and AI are coming into this, and it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better for sure.
I definitely don't want to hear that. So, with that, with cybersecurity being such a risky part of this, you guys are still all in on it. You're not pulling back. We've seen other dealers, and I'm not going to ask if it's happened to you, but we've seen companies like you get sued by their customers, right? Just because somebody hacked in, and you and I can probably agree that the majority of the time that happens, if it's a good MSP, it's probably not the MSP's fault. It's something on the customer side. But you've got companies, sometimes they're law firms, right? Do you take law firms as MSP clients for cybersecurity, or do you take everybody?
We do. For years, me and my partner, 20 years, we didn't take any attorneys, right? Because
Yeah.
they're that's a tough crowd, and they can
Well,
sue
they
you.
get hit and it's easy for them to sue and it doesn't cost them anything.
Yep, for sure. But we have insurance obviously that protects us. We have internal security. I mean, we're running a full spread at Novatech, so not to say we couldn't get hacked because everybody can,
Yeah.
but it'd be very difficult for somebody to penetrate Novatech at this point. Because of all the different, I think we have 15 security technologies deployed at Novatech in our environment. So very, big time security posture. But we actually meet with our customers on a quarterly basis. QBRs, quarterly business reviews with our technical account managers, and we have a 110 point best practices kind of checklist, kind of like when you go and bring your car in to get
Yep.
your oil changed, and they check your windshield wiper fluid and the whole 9 yards. We do the same thing with our customers, and we actually rate those things. Red, yellow, green. Right? Green is everything's in technical alignment. Yellow is that's probably not how we would do it if we recommended it to you today, but it's suffice for now. We'll talk about that next year, the year after, and then reds, which are actually even bombs on the report. So it's a bomb.
Yeah.
We call it bombs, and we want the customer to make sure that they invest in security technologies to lock down their infrastructure and their data and to train their employees and do all that kind of good stuff. And by doing that, we've been pretty successful, not being in any lawsuits. I actually haven't been sued in 32 years in business.
That's
Most
impressive. That's impressive for, especially with the number of clients that you have. That's awesome. So when you're doing this, when you've got the customers and like they get these emails, right? And you do these phishing things. I can appreciate that, but they're so sophisticated now. Were you at ECS? Were you at the Connection Summit this year? I know you were in the past. The one in
that
Phoenix.
was past, but not this
Yeah.
one.
So this year, the guys from ConnectWise, they worked with me. They usually pick somebody at a conference. You've probably seen this before, and they go dark web on them with my permission. And then the idea is they're going to do a presentation, which was an awesome presentation, except it was completely at my expense. So they showed everybody how vulnerable, I am, and I'm in this industry like you are, right? So they had pictures of my house, the inside of my house. They then did a Evite. They got into my Evite account and they sent out an Evite to everybody at the conference that they had emails for. But what else did they do? They sent me the most believable email from Mike Marusik, CEO of Sharp, who is a good friend of mine, and it was in his language. He referenced other people, colleagues of mine, Patricia Ames and Frank Canada, right? So it was such a believable email, and I'm thinking like, if I didn't take the time to look at the URL, not the URL, but the email address on there, I might click on that, right? I mean, it was just so well done. They did the research on LinkedIn. This isn't just an automated, let's try to hack in with a bunch of different digits, right? This was, they looked into my information, they got it, and then they pulled together the story. And then the best part was they clicked the button and they had the whole letter from Marusik in Snoop Dogg's voice, which I thought was, pretty awesome. My dope email from Mike. But ConnectWise, man, they do a ton of stuff like that. You work with them. I think you mentioned you're on their board. What do you do with them? You're kind of connected with them.
Yeah, so we've been working with ConnectWise for about 22 years now. So even Arnie Bellini sold us our ConnectWise way back in the day. So today I'm on two boards there, the advisory board, but also the Office Equipment Advisory Council. So definitely we're working with them on print security. I'm on the Sharp Advisory Council also. So working with Vince Ginelli over there, helping them to assisting them and providing some feedback on some of the new products they have when it comes to print security. But with ConnectWise, we actually partner with them. So they actually are, we partner with our security operations center with ConnectWise. Today we have our own network operations center in Pune, India that I built about 14 years ago. And we could have done the SOC too as part of that, but it takes a certain level of technology and expertise and manpower to really do it and do it right. I know those guys up in Chicago, Impact Networking, got a crazy SOC up there. I've seen pictures of it, and I want to go visit those guys because they got it going on up there. But so we partnered with ConnectWise, and they actually help us from a SOC perspective. We also buy some of our security technologies that are even like SentinelOne, which is a third-party company for our managed detection and response type products. We actually purchased that through ConnectWise. So we got a pretty strong relationship with them. Jay Rearcy was probably at ECS. I don't know if that
I
was
think
Jay.
that was who did my, I think that's who did my.
So he's a good friend. He used to be a competitor of ours. So he's from Atlanta originally, and we used to compete head to head. So we've known each other a long time. But those guys over there, ConnectWise, they're awesome guys. They got good product services and really a methodology on how to go about and partner with companies like Novatech to deliver these type of solutions to our customers.
Cool. Well, this has been awesome. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on. And as we wrap up, I want to ask if you have any words of wisdom for the traditional copier dealer who has now decided I'm going to do it and I'm just starting out.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I'd go acquire a managed service provider or hire somebody that's done operations or helped build one, right? You don't have to acquire one, but somebody that's been in the MSP space. It's definitely unique. It's a tough business, and just hire an IT manager and having them come in and build an MSP practice is like almost impossible. It just takes too long. It would take 7 to 10 years to figure it out. It took us 17 years to figure it out, right? There's a lot more resources available today. But yeah, and also if you're going to be in the business more than 5 years, I would get into this space. It's very lucrative. It's very sticky with the customers, which is great. You build deep relationships with your customers, especially meeting with them on a quarterly basis. It's not like we're selling them a piece of equipment and talking to them in 4 and 5 years. We're having an ongoing conversation with them on a weekly, monthly basis, quarterly basis. And customers need everything we do at Novatech. They need all this stuff. They need the network. They need security. They need copiers and printers. They need document solutions, Office 365. So it's the future of this industry. And you look at even some of the big manufacturers, right? Even Konica Minolta, Ricoh, Sharp, right, is in the space.
Xerox, they're all getting into it or in it to a degree.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not going away, and it's a good business, and the customers need it. So as long as it's hardware and products and software services and solutions, we'll learn it and learn how to sell it.
Awesome, Dave. Thanks so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Great conversation. I could actually talk to you about this all day. Please say hi to Mr. Cooper for us, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you at one of the ConnectWise events, if not sooner.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
See ya.
Thanks. Bye.